that there are some people in this world that did not tune in to the Alliance Vlog podcast. Shame on you!
Shame on you. My name is Ella Envy, and I'm one half of the NWA Women's World Tag Team Champion.
And I'm Kinsey Page, the other half of the NWA World Women's Tag Team Champion.
And you better go listen to the Alliance Vlog, what is it called again?
Podcast, period.
Or you're ugly. Pretty and power approved. Alright.
So, as we are headed in a new path for the NWA, we are trying to do things a bit differently here at the Alliance Blog podcast. And I want to talk about the news and information for this week for the NWA. It should be pointed out that tickets are still available at nwatix.com for the Samhain pay-per-view. Of course, this is the pay-per-view coming in October. Matches will be announced over the next few weeks on Power, but this whole season of Power is going to be leading up to the big pay-per-view that will be taking place in Columbus, Ohio. And I think you're going to want to get your tickets sooner than later. They might sell out. The other news that was announced last week is that Velvet Sky will be leaving the NWA. Now, this is seems like a very amicable departure from the NWA. It seems like there was no specific reason given for her departure. However, she did thank Mr. William Patrick Corrigan for the opportunity to be a broadcaster for the NWA. She mentioned that she learned so much from Joe and Tim on commentary. Velvet joined the commentary team after that pandemic pause that we talk about all the time. She was the fourth commentator in the Lightning One era to be a commentator on the show. She joined at the same time with Tim Storm, who the pair replaced Wade Barrett, who we all know replaced Jim Cornette. Velvet Sky also twice hosted her own brand-specific episodes of NWA Power Surge under the guise of Velvet After Dark and Velvet After Dark 2. We last saw Velvet on commentary at the 75th anniversary pay-per-view, but she was not at the television tapings. As we've noted before, Danny Deals has replaced Velvet on commentary. So best of luck to Velvet. We know that she'll be taking part of the TNA Impact 1000. So good luck to that, Sky. In other news, our World Junior Heavyweight Champion had his second title defense this past weekend on the Premier Wrestling Network Wrestling Showcase pay-per-view as a featured match from the Catalyst Wrestling, which is kind of funny because it was an NWA World Junior Heavyweight Championship match with Darius Carter. Darius Carter and Colby have had quite a rivalry in Catalyst Wrestling, which I believe is based in New York. And we the last time we saw Colby defend that title was up against Jack Cartwheel at the 72nd night of the 75th anniversary pay-per-view. So yeah, and if you want to still check out that match, you can still subscribe to the Premier Wrestling Network and watch the Showcase pay-per-view as part of your subscription. Another match that's going to be taking part on that Showcase is Matt Cardona Matt Cardona, former NWA Worlds Heavyweight Champion, will be in the ring against Colt Boom Boom Cabana, also former NWA Worlds Heavyweight Champion, to crown the first ever Pro Wrestling Network World Champion. This match could have implications for the streaming network, as well as the wrestler who wins that title. I would imagine will get a lot more opportunities going forward. With regards to who we're going to spend a lot of time speaking about today, EC3. It was announced last Friday that EC3 would have to back out of his upcoming matchup for Devotion Championship Wrestling. Now, originally, when EC3 was booked to appear at the Salt Lake City promotion, he was supposed to be defending his NWA national championship against Manny Lemons. However, we all know that the title was surrendered to William Patrick Corgan ahead of the 75th anniversary show so that he could challenge Tyrus for that 10 pounds of gold. Being successful in defeating Tyrus and sending him into retirement, EC3 is literally making defenses all across the country. We know that he was initially supposed to be in like we said, Salt Lake City, Utah. He's also has upcoming title defenses in Ohio and in New York, in New Jersey. So the champ will be busy, but he has to back out of this particular matchup, and says that if he's still champion in December, that match will take place in December. In the meantime, former national champion Chris Adonis will be on the card, and Kenny King from Impact Wrestling is supposed to be taking the spot for EC3. So make sure you stay tuned to that. Now, Devotion Championship Wrestling also airs on YouTube and on Fight, so that pay-per-view will probably be available on Fight to see the 10 pounds of gold defended at their 5th anniversary show. Should be noted that Poil Del Mar was a special guest to Bust It Open on Sirius XM's Fight Nation. She was joined by Hall of Fame broadcaster Dave LaGreca and former NWA Women's World Champion Thunder Rosa. The show airs normally Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to noon on the East Coast, but it is available via iTunes or Spotify. If you want to check it out, you certainly can. There was a great segment early in the morning when Thrillbilly Silas Mason, the former love interest of Poil Del Mar, called in, and it was a lot of fun. I highly recommend it. And lastly, that I wanted to speak about before we get into the rest of the show is the faction is no more. Now, we don't typically talk about Ohio Valley Wrestling here on this podcast, but because our World's Heavyweight Champion EC3 does moonlight with the Ohio Valley promotion, we should acknowledge that the faction known as the faction has broken up. The faction, a group of wrestlers that were made up of Joe Mack, Certified Luke Curtis, Shannon the Dude, I'm going to butcher that one, aren't I? Mahabali, Shura, and Mr. Spectacular Jesse Goddard, along with EC3, was that group. Now, Mr. Spectacular is your current Ohio Valley National Champion. Following a video package from his auntie Dixie, EC3 rechristened the group the Overmen and dispatched Goddard out of the group. Over the years, Goddard has made overtures to the NWA. It was just last year that he had challenged Chris Adonis for the NWA National Heavyweight Championship, and then the year before defended his Ohio Valley National Championship against the Pope, who was just coming off of losing his NWA TV title back in 2021. Ohio Valley has gained quite a bit of notoriety over the past few weeks, as it has been announced that they will be releasing a docuseries through Netflix. And Ohio Valley will be doing TV tapings. They did a taping this past Saturday, Hard Reset, at the Davis Arena, which featured EC3 taking on Jesse Goddard. So if you would like to see more of that, again, check out their YouTube channel. And with that being said, we're going to talk more about EC3 and the NWA Worlds Heavyweight Champion after this. Times are tough now, guys, and it's no joke out here. That's why I'm very proud to be partnering with the Upside app. They're leveling the playing field, guys. They're giving you opportunities to earn cash back on purchases for groceries, purchases for gasoline, purchases for food. These are the things we all spend our money on all the time. I believe in Upside. I use Upside weekly. My lifetime earnings is over $408, and you too can be earning cash back on your fill-ups, your groceries, or your eating out experiences just by signing up, and it's free. By using my invite code JASON75338, that's Jason 753338, you'll earn $5 cash back on your first fill-up. use the link in the video description or download the app, but make sure you use that invite code JASON 753338 and make money by using the Upside app.
Cool. How about the fact that the NWA champion EC3 actually said that Punk will be welcome in the NWA locker room because it's more professional. Speaking of the NWA Worlds Heavyweight Champion, it's a new era right now in the NWA. There, I got my transition I've been waiting to say.
Beautiful. You did it very well. And let's and can we just take a minute to acknowledge this? I said it in the Discord. Our pals at the Other Alliance guys said it, but I want to re-emphasize it just for clarity. Not CM. Jeez, I got him on the brain. Our guy EC3. By the time Sao Win comes to fruition, when that pay-per-view airs on October the 28th in Cleveland, Ohio, our guy EC3 will have over 4 title defenses. Do you guys remember how many title defenses Tyrus had leading up to the 75th anniversary show?
We're talking the NWA, not the Golden Corral Championship, right?
Yes. 4, right?
Yeah.
Rolando, Cardona, Daga, Chris Adonis. 4 defenses before he lost the title to EC3. And in 1 month or 2 months' time, EC3 will have 4 defenses before that pay-per-view. That, to me, if you take nothing else from this new era of the NWA, we have a world champion who is doing what a world champion's supposed to do. He's out there taking the belt on the road. God damn it. It's so gratifying that I get to say that we have a world's heavyweight champion who's going to defend that title outside of the NWA, who's going to take that belt anywhere he can. Rahway, New Jersey. He's taking it to Wilkesboro, Ohio. He's going to take the title with him when he's in Iowa, although he's not defending it there.
Isn't Wilkesboro in Pennsylvania?
Maybe it's a different city. I could look it up. I will look it up. You guys make me do these things. I have to do it now.
If you would have did your prep work, you wouldn't have to.
Well, I didn't really count on that. Berg. Where is it? The Battle of the Berg. What city is that? Williamsburg. Excuse me, Williamsburg. I apologize.
That's not in Virginia.
No, this one is definitely Ohio. I have it. I'm looking at the right now at Williamsburg, Ohio, at the Williamsburg High School. EC3 defends against Lord Crew, the Battle of the Berg for Spot Monkey Promotions, September 23rd. If you guys know who Lord Crew is, like maybe he's not on the radar, but that's a big guy. Doesn't feel like he's fighting Rolando here for that title. He's legitimately wrestling a good pro wrestler, in my opinion. I see this as such a positive. If nothing else changed about the NWA, if everything booking-wise stayed the same, if they stayed on YouTube, if nothing else changed for the NWA, you have a world champion who's going out to defend the title. And to me, that's a huge positive. Agree, disagree?
I agree.
No, I mean, I agree. I think there's a potential here to misquote Mr. 3, to reset the narrative.
Ooh, love it.
I think there's an opportunity here to reestablish what the NWA World Championship's all about. And I think it kind of got lost with the pandemic. And then when Aldis came back, he didn't defend it much. Trevor Murdoch doesn't wrestle a lot, so he didn't defend it much.
You did have Lara Rebellion defending the tag titles a lot. Sorry, I know you're talking about world champions.
Yeah. Scion defended the national championship a lot at first. Camille was defending the women's championship a lot. Even Kerry Martin was defending the junior heavyweight championship a lot. So, but you know what? Those aren't your world titles. They are world titles, but they're not your world title. They're not your face. Who's the face?
Look at that.
And so I think that was one of the keys there. So
thumbs up.
Yeah. From Claire. Claire gave me the thumbs up.
Of course it was Claire. We need 2 more, Claire. One.
There you go.
Thumbs up, Claire.
Okay, enough.
Cactus Claire.
Yeah, that's right.
Claire. Bang, bang. Anyway.
You got to be fair to Claire.
Exactly. What were we talking about? Does it matter anymore? No. Your world, the face, your world champion needs to be out there because, again, they're calling it 10 pounds ago. Joe Galley, stop calling it Sweet Charlotte. And
he hasn't called it that in a while.
He did once over the weekend or something.
Oh, he did?
Yes. He said it once and it annoyed me, and I wanted to hunt him down and beat him with a stick. And
they should change the name to Beautiful Bobby.
Maybe. And that's what you're basing your marketing on, is the 10 pounds of gold.
Yes.
So, that's what needs to be going everywhere. That's what needs to be showing up on the things. That is what's distinguishing it from the promotional titles and why it's a world's title, because it's going everywhere. And that's, let's be honest, even back in the day when it went everywhere, it primarily went around the United States, a little bit in Canada, a little bit in the Caribbean, and
a lot in Japan.
Go to Japan and went a couple times to Australia, but
still part of the world.
I don't need EC3 to go to China, right? I don't need EC3 to have a long series of title defenses in the UK, or even needs to go to Australia. But if I can get EC3 to defend that 10 pounds of gold a couple times a month on non-NWA events, I feel like he's doing his job.
Right.
And who knows what next year will bring. I mean, obviously, we still have 3 more months of this year before we're talking about 2024. But, in 2023, we saw the NWA have matches in Australia, Mexico. We had NWA champions defend all over the world. What will 2024 bring? And my man James just said the EC3 Crusade. I don't even need all that. I just need the guy to keep doing what he's doing already on his first week on the job, because literally it's been a week. You'll see some things on Power. The champion is well represented, and
they brought back the old belt.
Yeah, but
they brought back the oldest belt.
Yeah, let's talk about Power. Jaden.
Okay.
Power.
Okay. So the fact that I was there live, certainly, to me, I had a lot of positive feelings there. I read somewhere on somebody's article about the new NWA. Somebody said that there was literally they were coaching the fans to cheer and boo for certain segments. I can tell you with no disregard at all, there was no one telling anybody to cheer or boo for anything. Now, they asked us to be vocal. Every televised wrestling show I've been to, they've asked me to be vocal. But there was no boo this guy, cheer this guy, chant this. No. It was literally Kyle Davis said, "We don't care who you cheer for, just be loud about it." That's all they asked. And so the fans took that direction and ran with it. I know, DKM, your biggest disappointment was the lack of fans. Tell us about that.
Yeah. I don't like there not being a crowd. Now, there is a crowd, and it's on one side of the ring, and all the cameras are set up to shoot away from it. So you never see the crowd, and I think that's part of what gives you that sensation. Well, is it real? Is it not real? Is it, back in the day, you could sit there and watch them sit on their hands or watch them stand up and cheer. And so you could see how the crowd was reacting. And to be honest, that can feed a person who's watching on the show too, who's watching the show to get into it. And so this was more like going back to the pandemic of an empty arena type thing, or before we got on, I think Jaden was comparing it to AWA when, they couldn't draw a crowd to save their life. So they started doing things in
warehouse.
And so, yeah, it really bothered me that, I couldn't see if there was 5 people there, 50 people there, or 300 people there. It was just, as far as I'm concerned, watching today's show, nobody was there. They had a couple of people, staff and family members standing off to the side, cheering and booing, maybe when told.
The WTBS, though, was in front of the camera. You could still see them.
Yeah, I do hear what you're saying, and I do. You're right. We were put on the same level as the hard cam. So like the hard cam I was sitting right next to the hard cam all night, and there was 3 or 4 rows ahead of me. It wasn't like a sellout show, even though they sold out. But it was well attended, but it wasn't like you said. It was like 150 people maybe. But to your point, yeah, like the camera, when it did pan, it panned very quickly. It was not about the audience. It was not about the look of the audience. It was all about what was happening inside the ring. That could be a good thing. That could be a bad thing. DK didn't like it. Jaden, seeing the fans in question, would that have been, oh, never mind, Jaden. To me, I kind of agree with you, DK. I think it would have been a little bit more significant to see the fans. Now, I look back, I think back to the old Georgia Public Broadcasting Studios, and I agree. The fans were similarly on one side of the venue, but the camera did pan to the audience. You would see the guys holding.
But they were on the opposite side.
Yeah.
So the camera looked at the ring and then passed the ring with the crowd.
And our boy Fuzz agrees with you. He says, yeah, the lack of he agrees with you with the lack of the crowds. He said you could hear them mic'd at least. I don't even think we were mic'd. To be honest, that was a loud crowd. For 150 people, they were loud, and they were into it. And again, we saw, not that he's the barometer of interest, but Sandoval came back. And Sandoval left the NWA going to the live events, and he used to go all the way to the Atlanta shows. He stopped going because he wasn't a fan of Tyrus. And he showed up because Tyrus is gone. And I even asked him, when I saw him, I said, hey, man, where you been? And he says, man, I'm not a Tyrus fan. And if Tyrus was still champion, the NWA would have got my money, but I wouldn't have been here. So, yeah. But
I'm going to agree with you that the crowd wasn't mic'd, because quite honestly, you saying there's 150 people there being loud, but watching it on TV and listening, I would have told you 20.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, it didn't sound that loud to me. It didn't sound like there was 100 people there. And so
there's a volume button on your TV remote. You just got to turn it up a little bit.
I could hear the announcers. I could hear the interviews. I could hear the wrestlers in the ring. But no, the lack of the crowd. And I think the part that made it even sadder was because it was such a cool setup, but it was so empty looking. I mean, they shoot, they had the guys up on the platforms. And so the one guy shooting from the one angle, and there's Galley and Danny Deals you got to see. And then the guy shooting from the other angle, and you could see Kyle Davis at his platform, but you never saw a crowd.
And the thing about it too, like if my memory serves me correctly, there were 2 cameras on the on the fan side shooting into the ring. There was the hard cam. There was two guys holding cameras, and then there was the jib ahead of above us. So there was like, I don't know, that sounds like five lenses on the wrestling, and not one of them on the audience. So that, I mean, you're bringing up a good point. And when you said it seemed empty, yeah, I got that too. And my first instinct, and I put this in the Discord, and Tim repeated it. When I was watching the show, it did feel very sterile. Like you said, it did feel very empty-ish. One thing that I also thought was that it kind of looked like a game show, especially with the graphics and the way that the ring went down and the lighting. It reminded me of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire or the Weakest Link. And it just like, even the cuts felt very reality TV based, which is kind of weird because we've heard recently through social media that Anthony Anderson, on his way out the door, spilled the beans about a potential reality show that's being filmed. I don't know. I don't have any answers for that, but I mean, that was out on social media.
There have been rumors. If you guys are we're not going to talk about it here, but if you guys are interested, just Google. There are some rumors about what's going on.
Real quick, Matthew Underwood asks, speaking of announcers, so is Deals not managing the Southern Six this season because of commentating? I don't think he's technically a manager for the Southern Six. I think he's a manager for Alex Taylor. And I think when he's with the other two that he's not with them. I don't know. They haven't really clearly defined the Southern Six, except for we know that they don't do jobs in Nashville. But going back to my notes, I did feel like it was a very cool opening segment. I'm glad that the NWA acknowledged that it was time for a change. And with the upgrades to the production in the studio, it really felt like the product had evolved. We'll have to wait and see if the feel of the matches matches the new look. But what I did have a problem with right away was that opening segment basically contained the same footage for the opening of the show, which felt very lazy. Like, come on, guys, you couldn't have done like it was the same exact footage. Like, wait a minute. Did either of you guys get that feeling? Jaden?
I don't honestly remember. I like the song they chose for the opening. I forget what it is off the top of my head now.
That's the song that yeah, you're right. Yeah. Be right back.
Okay. I did like the song that they chose for the opening. I thought that was great on the way it brought out the package. It had a good feel to it. I did like the opening video, but I really don't think I paid much attention, really, honestly, to it, because I was trying to wait to get to the wrestling part of it to see how that is. You can give all the bells and whistles. You could polish a turd so much, but it's still a turd, and that's what I was afraid was going to happen. So that's what I was waiting to get to. I didn't have a lot of hope, let's say, even though Jay tried to hunt me on it.
I listened to the beginning because I wanted to hear what they had to say, about how things were going to be different or whatever. They did bring up that 8 titles had changed hands and stuff like that. Unfortunately, I didn't pay a whole lot of attention then to the intro. So sure they used some of the same video, or maybe it was the exact same video. I don't know. I didn't, like I said, I wasn't paying close enough attention to that because it was just like the intro and I didn't care. That's why those buttons have the, skip intro thing when you're watching shows.
What did you think of the pre-taped entrances to the ring?
Hated it.
DK?
Yeah, no, don't do that.
The one thing that I felt like that might have been good for is saving time when you're actually shooting the wrestling, but it just didn't feel like it connected right. Like that's how I felt. And again, gave it a very game show format to me, like reality show. Like again, like I thought, they're going to go in the kitchen and cook something for dinner or something. I don't know. It felt very disconnected to me.
Well, it didn't fit together. That's the way I was kind of.
Yeah.
Also, your ring introduction, your walk to your ring is your chance to get yourself over intimately to the crowd. That's what your entrance is for, what your song is for, what your movements, whatever you do to differentiate yourself is what that few seconds of that ring introduction. That's why I always used to argue, like, I'm like, somebody would pick a song and I'm like, it's a stupid song. I'm like, yeah, but it gets me pumped up. Yeah, well then you're a moron because it has nothing to do with you. That's the chance to get the audience. If that song cannot connect to the audience, then you're just wasting that 5 to 30 seconds for your intro.
I mean,
Iron Chef NWA, they love it.
When I first heard music, I mean, in wrestling, I actually first heard it for Leroy Brown because the Freebirds were already split up for the first time when I really started watching wrestling. But you would get that, that music would hit, and then when the Freebirds got back together, and they were a face team when they got back together, and you hear that, that initial, strum and sound of Freebird and things like that. Yeah, that's what gets you. That's what hooks you. And again, so they're kind of entering in this pre-tape thing, and we don't get to see, because of the cameras again, we don't get to see any crowd reactions and everything. It didn't work for me. I mean, I feel like this is the type of thing that, why am I the only one now on camera? And so
my 3 charged batteries are no longer charged, so it's all about you, buddy.
No.
You're the new face of the show, man. Watch this.
10 pounds of DKM, or
213 pounds of DKM, which is down from 225. So, hey.
Good job.
DK's a cruiserweight, or at least an NWA junior heavyweight.
I'm a junior heavyweight now. And again, I think it's where it hurts, where you don't have the crowd, you have these pre-tape things, and so you don't get the interaction that you want to get. And, look, I know back in the Georgia studio days, they didn't necessarily go around the ring and shake hands or something like that, but they at least entered pretty close to where the crowd was, and you got to see them, the crowd react to them and everything. And the heels and the faces entered on different sides and everything. Now it's just weird. I don't like it. I don't like it.
No, sir. I don't like it.
I don't like it. You only have to teach my kid count 21 because that's all the chickens that will fit in the coop.
Fans have pop cards.
Bump cards. Okay, I see what you're saying. Space that runs the place. Okay, that did it. And anyway,
that's actually the best you both looked in a long time.
We saw why you keep your face in earlier, so.
Yeah, I'm too pretty. I really bring you guys down when they see me.
Yeah.
Why are you muting us?
Doing, Jay?
Maybe he's trying to get himself unmuted. I don't know.
I don't know what he's doing. Jay's lost his mind. And since we're not hearing from him, maybe he is muted. Interesting.
I was muted. Jesus. I kept trying to mute you guys.
This was going to help the show.
I kept muting you guys because I'm like, you're talking over me. Jesus. All right. Real quick. John says, I was watching the last Derby City for a little bit, and half the show was just shots of the kids in the crowd cheering. Jaden, do you feel like seeing stuff like that helps the show? And I mean,
oh, hell yeah.
Okay.
Oh, hell yeah. When Dog had this one event, I remember watching the videotape, or actually it was probably the DVD, but there was these 2 little twin girls, and one of them was on a crutch, and I could see them jumping up and down with absolute excitement when some of their favorite wrestlers were doing their thing inside that at Clayton, New Jersey. And it was definitely not Dave Dahl. Nobody cheers for Dave Dahl.
I did once.
Yes, and look what happened to you. You got chastised. But anyway, yeah, the energy, just watching these kids just go nuts at everything and the crowd going crazy, it really does. For throwing babies in the air, it really does give you something that you do not have with the NWA right now. I like the Iron Chef thing, Iron Chef and National Wrestling Alliance.
Have you ever gone to like a movie on like a Friday night or maybe later on a Saturday? And what are you doing now?
Just, it's something to look at other than like little boxes.
Okay. And it's, well, you're confusing me.
That's easy to do.
DK, change your icon while you're at it, but go ahead.
No. So anyway, yeah, all that did was enlarge the screen.
All right, so finish your thought, sir.
Trying to like kind of can't figure out how.
Whatever.
Put a cloud up so I can yell at it.
Have you ever been to a movie on Friday night or Saturday night where the crowds, the later movies where maybe the crowd's a little bit rowdier and they're reacting to things on the screen and maybe if it's an action thing, maybe they're reacting when the good guy does something or booing when the bad guy does something or whatever, and you sit there and you go, oh man, that movie was great. And then now 6 weeks later, but at the time it might be 6 months or so before it came out on TV or on HBO or something or DVD, and you can't wait to go see that show again because it was so good, and you turn it on and you're watching it and you go, God, this sucks. Because the crowd isn't there to hype you up.
The perfect example of that, when you're saying, DK, is The Rock versus Hulk Hogan at WrestleMania.
Yes.
The crowd 1 billion% made that match. If you actually watch it in silence, it's not even entertaining.
No.
But if you watch the crowd and listen to them, that crowd made that match. And that's exactly what it is. It's the same thing for going to a sports bar to watch a really good sporting event. Yes, there's alcohol involved, and that makes everything better. But I've watched UFC fights where I'm watching it and I'm like paying attention to the athletics, and I'm paying attention to the skill. But then when I'm watching it in like a sports bar or something like that, and I'm watching it for the excitement and the energy. It is a completely different thing. And
thank you for tuning in to the Alliance Blog Podcast, a presentation of Alliance-Wrestling.com, the premier source for news and information for the National Wrestling Alliance. Would you consider subscribing so you never miss a new episode? You can follow us on all social media at the Alliance Blog, and we stream live on Twitch, Kick, and YouTube every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, 5 p.m., 6 p.m., and 8 p.m. Eastern at the Alliance Blog. Until then, we are the Alliance.